Hey guys, my name is Ali and I'm a data analytics manager working in Oslo, Norway. In this video, we're going to continue my series on how to create a data analyst portfolio from scratch using your own data. In the first video, we set up the data structure. In the second video, we looked at the data model. And in this video, we're going to look at how we're going to create the dashboard. I'll start off by showing you guys what we are going to create today, and then we will take this step by step. We have to create some calculations. I'm going to show you guys how to use some more advanced calculations using a language called DAX, which stands for Data Analysis Expressions, and that is the expression language which is used in Power BI. So this is the dashboard which we are going to create today. This is the basic one. I've also made a dashboard with some more advanced calculations, which we'll also take a look at. But before we do all of that, let's just take a look at the data model which we had from the previous video. So what I used is I used exercise as a use case. I've been counting steps every single day, and I've been doing that for the month of May, and that is what is my fact table. Then, seeing as I'm doing that per day, I also have a date dimension, and we added some fields to that. We can see that here. And the last thing that I have is I have a activity table which categorizes my days, whether if I did, I had a day where I walked, or if I had like an active activity like running. The days where I lift weights, I walk. So that is the data model, and that's what this looks like. And today we're going to look like how we're going to start off making some basic calculations, and then I'm going to show you guys how to make some advanced calculations also using the expression language which is called DAX, Data Analysis Expressions, which you find in Power BI. So this is where we want to end up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of the previous file, which only contains the data model, and then we can iterate our way to this result. So I'll go over here and I will copy the second episode, which only has the data model. And if we open that, that will be a Power BI file that has none of the visualizations, it has no calculations, it only has the data model that we just looked at. So that's going to take some time, it's going to open itself, and I'm going to take a sip of this in the meanwhile. So there we are. So you can see now that we have the same data model, we have the fact activity, we have the dim date, the dim activity, and it is connected as we saw in the previous file. But here there are no calculation tables. We have to start making some calculations that we are going to use to create visualizations. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take a look here. I have my steps, I have my date, I have my activity. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a calculation for the steps. So what I like to do, and this is a Power BI tip, is I like to create a calculation table. Now notice these tables, they have one type of icon, which is a table icon. You can see that on all of these. So I'm going to go to enter data, and I think I called it basic calculations. Let's call it that. Calculations. And what that's going to do, it's going to create a new table with nothing in it. So that's what it's doing. It's creating a table. It's loading it to the data model. You can see on the right side, I have a table now called basic calculations. It has nothing in it, only a column, which means nothing. If I right click it, I'm going to create a measure. And I know that I have the steps. If I want to look at total steps, I can make a easy basic calculation, which is the sum of the column, which has steps. Let's call it total steps equals sum steps. So there we go. Already we have a fairly straightforward calculation that we can actually use in a lot of different ways, because we have some different dimensions that we can use to twist and turn and look at these steps in a different way. Another thing I'm going to do is I am going to I'll add, let me see, I had total steps and I had the average steps, so we can add it right away. So average steps, and then I will name which table, fact activity, and then I'll do the average of steps. We can even, if we want to, reuse the measure. It's up to you if you want to use the column or if you want to use the measure that we just created. I believe I just did the average of total steps. Okay, so we have those two. So now let's take a look at what I created. So I have total steps, average steps, and some visualizations. Let's start to do that. Now here, it's a little bit up to you, depending on what kind of data you have. That should give you some flexibility if you want to do something else. But let's make the text box first. I will put that on top. I always like to start this way. Call this dashboard, and we will make it size 14. We can even make it larger, size 16, and we will bold that. Okay, that's fine. And then I will click here. I will take the background, gray, 50% transparency, as I always like to do. I'm gonna make that even larger. That's fine. And I'm gonna refer back so that I can see what I'm making. I'm making total steps. I want the average of steps. I want to see the difference between the, how many steps falls under walking, how many falls under running, and then I have some other things. But let's take one step at a time. So you guys, let's take one step at a time. So I'm going to start by adding a KPI. I like to line them up. Ooh. I will line this up, hold shift and the arrow down. Then I will drag total steps into that. You can see right away I have total steps. Now I want to give that some better formatting, so let's do that. We'll do none, and I will do 1,000 separator. So that's perfect. It's a little bit large, so let's make it a little bit smaller. 25, that's fine. Then I will copy that, drag it over here, line it up, shift, right. I get perfect spacing between all elements. I think it looks much cleaner and nicer. Oh, by the way, I gotta show you guys this. I'm gonna hide the column in the basic calculations table. I will hide the column 1 so it only has calculations, calculation measures. Now you can see that the icon on the table turned into a calculator, so now it is a calculation table. And sometimes I like to group calculations in one table and keep the tables just pure tables so that you can see the difference and then you know where to find the metrics. Anyways, let's keep going. So we have total steps. I'm gonna drag out average steps, and we don't want any decimals, so I will once again turn on the 1,000 separator. That's fine. 2 decimals down, and there we are good. So now we have the total steps, average steps during the period which I have been recording my different my activity. Then we have a pie chart below, so I will add that. I will line it up, 1 down. Then I will drag this out here, and we're gonna add the total steps calculations to the values. I will go to my activity, and like I said before, we have some activities which are gonna now filter down and split the calculation in 2 because we have tagged the different rows in the fact table with whatever key that defines the activity. So I'm gonna drag the activity name to details. Now it is split into 2. I can see how many of the steps were related to walking and how many of the steps were related to running. Now how I think I need to refresh this data because I don't think I can see that the data is a little bit different, but we will do that at the end. So activity, then I want to fix this up, so I will do data labels. I will do all, and then I will do display units, none. And here you can choose how you want it. It's up to you. If you want different colors, you can change colors. However you want to do it. Don't just copy me. Make it a little bit personal. Give it some of your touch to it, so that it's, first of all, like I said, it's personal, and second of all, I think it's more fun to show something that you truly created yourself. The next thing, we want a line chart. I'm gonna line it up. Notice that I put the line chart on the bottom. That is because something shows over time. I want to be able to see, I want to see the width of the graph so that I can see the development quite well. So I'll do total steps on values. I will do the date on the axis. There you can see now we have steps over time. If you want to see all the dates, you can go to x-axis, you can press categorical, then you have that. I don't like this date formatting, so I'm going to click the date and I'm going to turn this into, so since I live in Norway, I'm going to use DD, MM, Y, date, month, year. Then I get that formatted. I will turn the y-axis, I will none. I want to see the full numbers. I will also turn on the data labels, so that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Actually, I'll turn them off. It works. You see the trend. If you want to add a trend line, you can go over here on the analytics section, and you can go. Actually, you need to then make it a continuous x-axis. Then you can turn on the trend line. There, you got that. You can name that trend. So keep in mind, we only have two dimensions table. We have the date, we have the activities, and then we have some sort of calculation which we have just recorded over time. And you can see how many different things I can do with this if I know how to create some basic calculations and I know how to use a analysis tool such as Power BI, could be Tableau, could be Click. But you can see you can do quite a lot of analysis in the tool, and you can do it visually, which means that you get a lot of feedback as you do it because you can see a lot easier what it is that you're creating. Let's keep going. So we get total steps by week of year and activity, and we get total steps by day name and activity. So let's go bar chart. I believe I will make it like this. I will line it up once again, drag this down, and I had it, what did I have? I have the weeks, and then I want to look at per week. I can see how many steps did I do within the two different categories. Yes. So let's go to dim date. We have the week of the year on the axis. I will drag total steps to the values, and then to split, or how can I say this in a better way, to categorize the different types of activities I do within a week. I'm going to drag the activity name to the legend, which shows me the two different details. Now this is one type of chart. I can't remember the two different names, but I want a stacked bar chart. Right now it is a clustered bar chart, but it is definitely a bar chart. So you can see there on the x-axis I want full values because I don't like abbreviated values, whatever that is, abbreviation. Yeah. Data labels on. I can even turn the total labels on if I want to see that. And the final thing that I'm going to do is I want to see per the different days in the week, how much activity do I do? Do I do more on Fridays? Do I do more on Saturdays, Sundays, etc.? So now I can just delete this. All I have to do is remove whatever I have on the axis. So that'll be the day name. And you can see now it is showing me the day name. One thing that is annoying though is that the day name is sorted highest to lowest. Let's do it by day name. Let's see what happens. Now it is sorted alphabetically. I don't want that. So let's click day name, sort by column, and we're gonna do day of the week. Then it should sort by Sunday first. So let's do Sunday ascending. Yeah, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. And I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. Activity, and then activity. Like I've shown you guys before, if you guys want to clean up some of the titles and you want to reuse the formatting, you can make that a little bit smaller. We can turn the labels on the legend off because I know that there's only two activities. And then if I want to, the X and Y axis has large, I think the text is a little bit large. So now that this one is more or less exactly how I want it, I can just format painter, apply it there, format painter, apply it there, and I am reapplying the formatting, and everything gets really nice and consistent. So this is actually the end of this dashboard. If you want to recreate this, if you want to do exactly what I do, that's fine. But if you have, I would hope you've chosen a different type of process. Try and play around with this. All you need is one you need one metric, you need some sort of dimension, and you might even have two metrics, you might even have three metrics. You might even have, 2 or 3 dimensions. It's up to you. Now, this is where, I would usually end the video. I would say, this is the dashboard, this is the one we're going to use. Because we are in Power BI, and because I want to show the possibilities of what is actually possible if you understand a calculation language within a visualization tool, we're going to jump over to the other solution, and I'm just going to walk you guys through what I did there. And I'm going to show you guys some more advanced DAX syntax. I don't want you guys to get scared. I only want to open your mind and expose you guys to some types of analysis and some different ways of doing things, maybe sooner than you would otherwise, because you would follow the same trajectory. You would do what you do, you will learn, you would learn. Eventually you would get to that point where you do that type of analysis within the calculation language. But I just want to show you guys to maybe give you guys some ideas and expose you guys to something that might take longer if I don't show you now. So if we jump to the other solution, or the other file, I have the dashboard. I've created more or less the same thing. But if we look at the dashboard with the advanced calculations, I have done some different things. I wanted to have KPIs where I could look at the steps that were only based on running, steps that were only based on walking, the percentage that is of the total steps, and then I have some other types of visualizations going on over here, which I can talk you guys through. Now when I click steps running, look on the right side, I get this yellow check, and it's checked on the advanced calculations, which means this calculation is based there. If we go in there, you can see I have a little bit of different types of calculations. So you can see if I look at steps running, you can see there's something there. So DAX is a functional language. So you can see I have the total steps measure, which is the basic measure I created, and the calculate around that, what it's doing, it is saying reuse the measure. It's changing what that measure is taking into consideration. It is changing the context it is filtering. So what it is doing, it's saying, give me the calculation total steps and apply this filter onto that. So I want this to be total steps, but I only want it to be where the activity name is running. So that isolates that. If I look at steps walking, you see there's a different calculation. Steps walking, same thing, calculate total steps where the activity name is steps walking. That way I don't have to filter or jump between two filters. I have isolated it. So then if I need a running total, you can see running percentage of total. If I go in there, I can take the steps running calculation and the total steps, and I can use a divide function. And what's really cool about DAX and Power BI, and also this is not Power BI unique, you will see the same type of possibilities in Tableau and Click, is that you can take measures, you can take the basic measures and you can branch them on top of each other. And what you are doing is you are reusing logic. So when you make the basic calculations, you can reuse them again and again, and you can make more advanced stuff. So you can see now I have a percentage of running. How many of my steps were done by running? 63.76 percentage. Same with the walking, exact same thing. Divide steps walking by total steps. So fairly straightforward, but keep in mind we are still using the exact same data model. One metric, one business process that I've recorded, and one dimension which categorizes this in two different ways, and then just time which comes in here. If we keep going, this pie chart is the same as the previous one. Haven't really done anything. This one is total steps per date. Haven't really done anything. If we look at this one, this is the same as this graph. It is just how it accumulates throughout the month. What's cool about that is you can see that it's fairly stable. It goes down. I have a peak, and then it's fallen a little. I've gotten lazy again. It's fallen again. But it shows the accumulation of that. Now, once again, if you look at this, I'm using the calculate function, total steps. What I'm doing here though is that I'm saying for each date on the axis, ignore everything before and sum up everything up until that date. And then do that for the next day, the next day, the next day. And what's happening is for every single day, you're summing up the total up until that day. And I'm not adding any new columns to the model. I'm not creating a bigger memory imprint. I'm simply using that one column, a analysis expression language, and my understanding for this language, of course. So it's very powerful to learn the expression language within the visualization tool that you decide to work on. If you look at this one, you can see there's total steps by day name and activity. Here I've just tried to show the same as here, but I want to show it in percentage to give an idea of how much does it actually make up of the total. Nothing special there. I've just gone in, I have gone to total steps, show value as percentage of grand total. Nothing special, didn't do anything crazy, but it gives a different, more analytical perspective on it. Now this one is probably the one that is the most advanced, and what this is actually doing. So in week 18 I have 30,000 steps. In week 82 in week 18 I have 30,000 steps. In week 19 I have 89,000 steps. You can see 175.21%. That is the percentage change between those two periods. So what this is doing, it is showing me the value as I go through it week for week, and it is also showing me the percentage change from week to week. Now here you'll see what you can, now we're starting to get a little bit more advanced with DAX, because we are using variables, we are using functions, we are using different calculate functions. But what I'm basically doing is I'm saying, give me the total steps, ignore the date table, and figure out, you know, which week am I in, and only find the steps for that total week. Then do the same thing, except that you take the week that I'm in, -1, and there's something called filter context and more advanced stuff going on here. But I'm still gonna talk you guys through it just to open your mind and just see what is possible. And then at the end, divide the current week minus the previous week, and then divide that on the sum of that, divide that on the previous week, and you get percentage change from week to week inside a divide function using variables. So that's once again something, you know, really powerful stuff you can do with DAX or other data analysis or other analysis expression languages without having to, you know, create more columns, write any crazy SQL, or anything like that, and you can do it all visually in the visualization tool. So that is how I set up my dashboard based on the model which we made in the previous video. I hope this gives you guys some ideas on maybe what you guys can do with yours. You know, how can you guys create some different visualizations? Maybe you guys can create some basic measures. Maybe if you guys want to take it a bit further, you want to try some more advanced stuff. Either way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this file on my GitHub with the advanced and the basic ones. You can take a look at it. You guys can try it out. I'm also going to upload my data so you can actually do the whole thing if you want to also do some changes on the data model. Totally up to you guys. I still want to ask you guys to try and use your own process. Try and use your own data. It's going to be a much better product to present later when you guys show your portfolio. And in the next video, I'm going to show you guys how we're going to take all of this, how we are going to try and create a story in your portfolio on a page where we take you, step by step, how do we structure the data, how do we create the data model, how do we create the dashboards, and so that it becomes a experience for the person who is trying to get to know you and your skill set, instead of you just showing some code, showing some pictures, and hoping that they can, put the puzzle together themselves and understand what you were thinking as you were doing this. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. If you want to follow this series or you want to see more videos on data and analytics, then subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.